If you've ever felt drawn to the spiritual but still empty inside, stay with me. What I'm about to share could be the very thing your soul has been searching for. Then like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring videos. I used to chant under the moonlight, barefoot in the grass, candles circling me like guardians, crystals clutched tightly in both hands. I whispered to the universe, asking for guidance, power, purpose, something, anything. I wanted to feel seen. I wanted to feel safe. But deep down, I was empty, searching for truth in shadows, never realizing the light was waiting for me all along. My name is Tasha, and this is the story of how I went from witchcraft to worship. I didn't grow up in church. Sundays were for sleeping in, shopping, or binge-watching movies. My parents weren't atheists exactly, but they didn't believe in Jesus either. They believed in energy, karma, the power of positive thoughts. My mom always had astrology books on the coffee table. She'd ask people their zodiac sign before asking their name. Her friends talked about the universe and vibrations and manifesting blessings. As a child, I listened quietly. It fascinated me. Horoscopes, dream interpretations, numerology. It was like a secret world that promised to explain everything. By the time I was 13, I was reading my own tarot cards, borrowing my mom's books, and practicing pendulum readings for fun. At 15, I bought my first tarot deck with babysitting money. I hid it in my drawer like it was treasure. No one told me it was dangerous. In fact, everyone around me seemed to encourage it. "You have a gift," they'd say. "You're intuitive. You have an old soul." And I liked that. I liked feeling special, chosen. By 18, I was fully immersed in the world of New Age spirituality and witchcraft. I wasn't flying on broomsticks or sacrificing animals, nothing that dramatic, but I was deep into what the world calls white magic. I created altars with candles, feathers, herbs, and stones. I researched moon phases and practiced rituals under the full moon. I made love spells, carried protection charms, and journaled my manifestations with precision. Social media only deepened my obsession. I followed accounts that taught how to charge crystals, cleanse auras, and tap into the divine feminine. It felt empowering. People in my life began to rely on me. They'd come to me for readings, asking me to pull a few cards for insight. I felt like I mattered, that I had access to something others didn't. But even as I went deeper, I never found peace. I had anxiety that kept me up at night, sleep paralysis that gripped me like a vice. I would wake up gasping, convinced someone or something was watching me. But I brushed it off. This is what happens when you open your spirit, I told myself. Power comes with a price. I just didn't know how high that price really was. It didn't start dark. At first, witchcraft felt beautiful, earthy, sacred, empowering, but slowly, subtly, something changed. My dreams became nightmares. Not the kind you forget in the morning, but vivid, terrifying scenes, shadowy figures, unfamiliar voices, cold presences that lingered even after I awoke. I remember one night clearly. I had been preparing a ritual for the new moon, one focused on clarity and vision. My apartment was dim, incense smoke coiling around me, crystals spread like chess pieces on the table. As I began chanting, I heard a voice. It wasn't mine. It wasn't from within. It came from around me, and it laughed. I froze. The hairs on my neck stood up. The candles flickered. Then one blew out entirely. My heart pounded. Still, I finished the ritual. But after that, something shifted. Every spell felt heavier. the room would feel colder. I started seeing movement in mirrors. Objects would shift positions with no explanation. I told myself it was energy, that I just needed to raise my vibration. But deep down, I was scared. One day, a friend from work invited me to church. She was one of those sweet but persistent believers who never pushed, just planted little seeds. I laughed it off at first. "I'm not really a church girl," I told her. She smiled. "Doesn't matter. Just come." I didn't plan to say yes, but that night, while meditating, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, a whisper. Not from the spirits, not from the moon, from somewhere else, somewhere deeper. It said, "Go." So I did. I walked into that church expecting condemnation, judging eyes, holy people who would sense the darkness on me. But I didn't feel judgment. I felt peace. The worship started. The music filled the air like something alive. People lifted their hands. Some cried. Others smiled through tears. And though I didn't understand it, I felt it. The presence of something pure, something holy, something I had never known, but always needed. I went back the next week, and the next. Each sermon seemed to be aimed at me directly, as if God had read my journal. One Sunday, the pastor said something I'll never forget. "Some of you are dabbling in things you don't understand, things that feel harmless, but are costing you more than you think." It hit me like a wave. That night, I went home and pulled out every book, every deck, every crystal, every candle, and laid them out on the floor. I sat in the middle of it all and cried. I cried from fear, but also from the weight of a truth I could no longer ignore. I whispered, "God, if you're real, please show me. I don't want to be in the dark anymore." And he did. Not in thunder, not in lightning, but in a warmth that filled the room like sunlight on my soul. I knew. He was real, and he had been waiting. And the next day, I made the decision. I burned it all. The spell books, the moon charts, the sage bundles, everything that tied me to that world. As the flames rose, I felt something break, something invisible but real, like chains snapping off my spirit. I didn't just leave witchcraft. I left the prison I didn't know I was in. I downloaded a Bible app. I didn't understand it all at first, but I was hungry. Hungry for truth, for light, for life. And God fed me. My anxiety began to melt. The nightmares stopped. I slept like a child. My mind, once cluttered with fear and noise, was quiet. I began to pray, real prayers, not chants or spells, and I met Jesus. Today, I'm a worship leader at a small but powerful church. I stand where I once feared to enter. I sing to the one I once didn't know. I mentor young women, some of them fresh out of the same darkness I knew, some still unsure, some still holding crystals in one hand and a Bible in the other. I tell them the truth. You don't need the moon. You need the maker of the moon. You don't need energy. You need the Holy Spirit. You don't need to manipulate the universe. You need to surrender to the God who made it. I'm not perfect, but I'm free. The devil doesn't always come with horns and fire. Sometimes he comes with incense and soft music, with good vibes and self-love. But I've learned that not everything spiritual is holy. Not every light is light. If you're dabbling in witchcraft, crystals, energy work, ask yourself, why? Are you searching for comfort, control, identity? Those things can only be truly found in Jesus. He doesn't require rituals, just your heart. He doesn't demand perfection, just surrender. He won't use you, he'll love you. And when he enters your life, you'll never be the same. You were created for worship, not to control spiritual power, but to walk with the source of all power. And that power has a name. His name is Jesus. From witchcraft to worship, I finally found the truth. I was never alone. I was always pursued. And now I'm forever changed. If this story spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope. And if you're ready to leave the darkness behind, visit renewedmind369.com for books, prayer guides, and tools to help you walk in the light.